Hello and welcome to Musical People Journeys Rock Concert Part 2, Eddie the Head Stage. We had Knucklehead Stage and today we've got the Eddie the Head. And welcome to my wonderful guest, my wonderful panel. Hello Dave.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Hello Rock Chick Trish.
Good morning.
Hey Simon, welcome back. You've recovered from COVID.
Yeah, good morning. I'm back.
No coughing and spluttering, so welcome back. And hello, Ian.
Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Good morning. Anyway, so just for if you're watching this and you haven't seen part one, what the hell is this show? So this show is basically an album review show of rock albums. We review the latest albums, so we're not going back to like, oh, you really must check out this album I missed in 1974. No, that's where I was stuck. My journey has brought me forward to where we are today, and these wonderful people have joined me. So we are reviewing the latest albums, and we do it in the style of a rock concert because we're so clever. I'll call it a festival. So there we go. Woo-woo. From our opening bands up to our headline acts. And how have we worked out running order? Well, basically, we look at Spotify and we see which of their songs have had the most plays, and then we take it from there. So today's festival, the lineup for Eddie the Head Stage, but no Iron Maiden. I don't know. This was Chris's idea, who's one of the other panelists. It was his turn to name the stages because we had two of them. We're going to kick off with something called Jizzy Pearl. Love Hate, and the album is called Hell CA. Never heard of Jizzy Pearl before. Then a band called the Flower Kings and their album By Royal Decree. On after that is Ghost, Imperu. Ooh, now we all know Ghost is getting a lot of good vibes out there at the minute. Followed by the old cohorts of rock and roll, Marillion and their album An Hour Before It's Dark. And then good old Stereophonics, they're back with, well, I don't know how to pronounce it, Oocyha, something like that, anyway. And a headline act, none other than the glorious, the king of rock and roll, Bryan Adams, and his new album, So Happy It Hurts. So, right, okay. Now, traditionally, if you listen to the audio, we would have played a track because now this is going to be on audio, so we can listen to it on Spotify, and hopefully we're going to get this video uploaded to YouTube as well, so we can launch in onto YouTube with our April rock festival. So normally we'd play a track, but we're not going to do that. So it's pure chat. And obviously go and check out the album based on what we're going to say. So how do we say it? So we each review, argue, lots of arguing. We never ever align on the same page because then we rate the albums out of 5. Now, if somehow we synchronize and we align in our love of an album and it gets more than an average rating of 4, which is quite rare, it will enter into our Hall of Fame, okay, which is an albums that really, I mean, if it ticks the boxes of all of us, then we know it's a good album. And I think we've done about 60, 70 reviews, and only 5 artists have actually ever reached that hollow turfs. And so, check them out: Volbeat, Hearts and Hand Grenades, Tremonti, Goodbye June, just to kind of name a few of them. Go and check them out, but we'll at some point we'll publish them anyway, what our top albums would be. So we are going to kick off, so the opening act of our virtual, so picture yourself in front of a stage and imagine our first act. And the first act is Jizzy Pearl, love the name, Jizzy Pearl's Love Hate Hell CA. Now I thought to myself, who do I go to first of all with a name like Jizzy? It's got to be Ian. Hey, Ian's our Jizzy. So, so welcome. So, what did you think of Jizzy Pearl, Ian?
I'm really sorry, Nige. Could you just go to someone else first? Someone's just at the door.
Oh,
I'm really sorry.
And that's the bit of a live
I'm
show. That's
the
the bit of a live show. Dave, Dave, talk to me about Jizzy.
Right, well, first impressions does sound like something that I should enjoy. However, it was just far too bland and far too generic. There's really nothing that stood out about it for me. The vocals were okay, not spectacular. Lyrically, okay, not spectacular. Musicianship, okay, nothing really spectacular about it. I mean, I really did struggle to find anything to say about this. And I found that's the case with a few albums that we've reviewed. It's like if I really like it, I can find plenty to say about it. If I really hate it, I can find plenty to say about it. But this is just middle of the road, and it's just there. It's just meh. Would I ever go back and listen to this? Probably not. Not when I can just stick a Guns N' Roses album on. I've got to be honest. There's just nothing about this that really held my interest at all.
Does that include the latest Guns N' Roses album? Latest Slash album. I think Oh, so is that Ian, or was that the somebody that was at the door?
Hey, what's up, Nigel? How you doing, man? Listen, my bro Ian, he had to take out there. He's got to get a delivery, some sort of cruise or something. He's always banging on about their damn cruises. Well, I'm Slashy Crew Rocker. What I would like to do is I'd like to stand in place of Ian, if that's okay with you there, Brother Nige.
Sorry, what was your name? Slashy Cruise Rocker?
Slashy Crew Rocker.
Crew!
As a slash, as the Motley Crew Rocker.
So, okay. Sure, why not? So what do you think of Jizzy, Slasher?
Oh, man, you know I'm down with the Crew boys, right? And I've been looking for something that emulates the Crew, but takes it at a new level for quite a while now. Jizzy Pearl hits that mark for me. Those high vocals, reminiscent of Vince Neil, reminiscent of the AC/DC. I was rocking out to this. I really was. I loved it.
Cool. Rock Chick Trish. Was Rock Chick Trish. Now, go and put your hat on, Trish. I need your hat, man.
I don't think I've got one that can live up to what Ian's.
It's a great hat. It's a
Sorry. Didn't know we were doing fancy dress.
Well.
For me, Jizzy Pearl, I'd never really heard of them. So I started listening to it. Crashing drums and racing rhythms of the opening track, One Hot Minute, to then the slower tracks of Hard to Say Goodbye and Gonna Take You Higher, an acoustic guitar intro, then into an explosion of drums. This album contains 10 tracks, which gives you 41 minutes worth of listening. Buckle in for one hell of a ride. This is one ride that hits all my sweet spots that I don't want to get off. This album delivers everything I want from a rock album.
Ooh, Jizzy. Trish has covered herself with a bit of Jizzy. Well, Simon, did you embrace the jizz, Simon?
Thanks. I'm not sure about embracing it. Well, I mean, it's a great entry into the world of hair metal. It was energetic. I felt like it was there was a lot of life throughout the tracks, throughout the album. I particularly liked Hard to Say Goodbye. I really liked that song. That was really good. So it's like, I felt like there's quite a few sort of beautiful guitar solos and a lot of fist pumping lyrics in there, but the album did feel quite short. It is only 10 tracks. There's not a huge length or a huge amount of runtime to it, and it sort of that glam rock style of music. It does feel a bit tired at this point as well. I hate to say it. I did enjoy. Sorry, Trish. I did enjoy it. It is good, but yeah, it does feel a bit dated at this stage, especially compared to some of the other songs. But it's definitely a headliner for me for this stage, though, I'm afraid.
Oh, wow. Well, hey, don't steal the thunder of what's to come, or piss it out on fire. But what do I think of Jizzy Pearl? I think the problem here is that Jizzy Pearl has come right off the back of one of our Hall of Fame albums, which was Goodbye June, and I think that and maybe for me that was a bad thing because it just didn't compare, and I totally agree with Dave on this. Totally, everything you just said, Dave. 100%. I agree entirely with you. It was just okay, and I think our problem is that you Goodbye June's voice, even though it was in that style of ACD, literally took a life of its own. It was so good, and Jizzy's just was like that. It didn't go up, it didn't go down. It just didn't really go anywhere. If you're gonna take on that sort of genre sort of music, I think your voice has to be quite exceptional, and Jizzy's was just okay. It was just okay, and I agree. It was just didn't go anywhere, didn't excite me, didn't want me to come back to the album, didn't think it was awful. It was just okay, and it was just all right. That's kind of where I was, where it kind of led me as well. So let's get our ratings then. So let's find out. Well, Dave, let's kind of start with you. I'm going to look down here, everybody. Sorry for looking away from my camera, and you see my beautiful eyes temporarily disappearing. But there we go. Dave, talk to me. What about Jizzy?
Yeah, 2 out of 5. I mean, it's, as I say, it's quite happily listen to it if it come on a jukebox or something. But it's okay.
2 out of 5. Slasher.
Okay, so I put the guitar down because it's a 4 out of 5.
4.
The vocals were good, but they weren't quite Vince Neil for me.
Cool. Trish.
Well, as you know, and I'm not going to deny it, I am stuck in a time warp, clearly, Simon. I'm really sorry. I gave it 5.
Whoa, golden buzzer time! Ding, 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 ding. Golden buzzer time for Trish. No shock there. 5 out of 5 for Trish. Simon!
Yeah, I enjoyed it, but again, I'm not sure it'll get too much repeat listening, so 3 out of 5 from me.
3 out of 5 for me. Well, as you can see, I thought it was distinctly average, so I give it a distinctly average score of, well, in Trish's world, it would be a 3, but in my world, it's a 2.5. So there we go. Which gives it 9, 12, 14, 16.5. I mean, it's going to get somewhere top 30, but it's not a bad score, really. Better than I was potentially expecting. So, okay. So, next on stage, we have the Flower Kings and the album by Royal Decree. Now, let's start with you then, Simon. Had you heard of Flower Kings before?
No, I suspect I've heard them before, but I don't know them by name. But it was an interesting album. So obviously it's a big prog rock album, which I'm not the biggest fan of prog rock as it is. I found that there's so many tracks which are over 6 minutes long on average. It's such a lengthy, long album with just nothing particularly going on in a lot of the songs. There was some interesting sort of guitar work in there. There's some interesting solo bits. Well, most of it is a giant solo, but I mostly just tuned out throughout most of it, I'm afraid. Not particularly a favourite of mine, especially in the prog rock style. I just felt there was nothing particularly unique about it.
In your world, because we throw expressions around about new metal and prog rock. In your world, what describes prog rock, which is short, I presume, for progressive rock?
Yeah, progressive rock. So, I mean, the great golden example would be someone like Dream Theater. Absolutely love Dream Theater, but even they admit it themselves in their greatest album, which is their one best track and 31 other tracks. Prog rock isn't known particularly for being amazing stuff, but they're interesting and they're technical. I find it's typically a genre that musicians enjoy more than anything because they can appreciate the technicality of the songs. Whereas for the average Joe like me who can't keep a tune, they're just enjoyable to listen to.
We didn't enjoy Dream Theater, did we, Trish? Did we, Dave?
No.
I think that might be in our bottom 3 or 4 albums on their last. It was just droning on. So yeah, Trish, did the Flower Kings by royal decree summon up the rock princess within you?
For me, this album was a mix between War of the Worlds musically in the song Blinded, vocal harmonies of Queen on Well Gone Crazy with a mix of the Jethro Tull Zealot gene. I found the album too long with 18 tracks, quite folky, but lacked direction and didn't really give me anything to make me want to go back and listen to it, I'm afraid.
Why are you apologising? You should apologise for being jizzed up with a 5, not like, slasher stroke psychotic kind of person in a hat.
Flashy crew rocker.
Yeah, all right, yeah. Okay, baby, hit me with it one more time.
The Flower Kings. Now, I'd never heard of these guys before, but what a bunch of musicians, dude. Have you listened to their back catalog? We got lucky. We got so damn lucky. I'll tell you for why. Because most of their songs are like 20 minutes long on their previous albums. Now, this is a double album, and it does go on about 92 minutes, I believe it is. But what you got in that 92 minutes is sounds of deliciousness. You got soaring guitars. You got beautiful instrumentals. You got some folk influence there. You got a whole bunch of stuff going on. For the music lovers, oh, this is so fine. I've sat in recording studios with some of my favorite heroes, and I've listened to them craft their stuff away, and man, this is up there. It's really cool. I agree. It's not a throwaway, easy listening album. It's not even a rock album you're gonna put on while you're running, while you're house cleaning, while you're just hanging out at home. But boy, you want to get this on for the journey. I love this. My favorite is Revolution, and I encourage everyone to listen to Revolution. Thank you, Nigel. I appreciate the time.
So, Dave.
Yes. I'm not a particular fan of prog rock, I've got to say, but it can produce some amazing music when done right. This is definitely not one of those times. Most of the album just seems to lack any direction. It just seems to be random for the sake of it. It is a shame because they are some decent musicians. The odd lick, riff, or drum fill that stand out, but unfortunately never really lead to anything. It took me 3 separate listens to actually just get through the whole album in one go. Far too long. In all fairness, Nige, if I thought you'd let me get away with it, I would give this a minus rating. I've actually got down here one word. I'm not sure what it. I guess it just alludes to the album overall. And I've just put awful.
Right. Okay. Look at Slash's face. Oh my God. Or Slasher. Anyway, so what do I think of it? I think you've all kind of really summed it up. Really. It's interesting you mentioned Jethro Tull, Trish, because actually about 3 or 4 tracks in, because I'd heard some of the music, I was actually genuinely looking forward to this album, genuinely, because I'd heard some bits and pieces here and there. I thought, oh yeah, okay, I'm looking forward to this. And then about 5 tracks in, I went, well, this is Jethro Tull, just in a slightly different guise, in a more kind of prog rocky kind of thing, and not even a patch on Jethro. I mean, we all reviewed Jethro Tull's album a while ago, but it just progressively became, it kind of started off as a kind of cool prog rock, and then just droned on and 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 droned on, and I thought actually, and then overtures of Jethro Tull's type of influence kind of came into there. And really, the lyricism did not match because, and I agree with Dave, it just didn't go anywhere. It just was just a drone on of a drone on. It was just a dirge. And I was bitterly disappointed in that. But equally, I think, interestingly, Dave, what you're saying is that what saved it was actually the first few tracks. The first few tracks were actually quite decent. They were okay, It's just the rest of the album sunk into some quagmire of just nothingness of quicksand for me anyway. But I also appreciate the people who do like that. this sort of prog rock kind of style, might well enjoy it. So there we go. So, okay, Flower Kings by royal decree could be going to the guillotine. Let's find out our ratings. So Simon, then, what's your rating for the Flower Kings, my friend?
I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5. It wasn't the worst thing. I did enjoy it, so 2 out of 5.
Okay, Trish.
I gave it 2.5 out of 5.
You're generous. You are generous to a fault. So is that like somewhere in the middle, Trish, by any chance? I just for reference, people, okay, one of our glorious moments of this podcast well, it was really average, so I'm just going to give it a score in the middle. So therefore, I'm going to give it a 3, and it's lived in our memories ever since. Okay.
And I will never live it down. Thank you so much for constantly.
More to the point that
Trish,
she works.
we love you.
More to the
in
point.
the finance department.
She works
yes.
in accounts. Okay?
Yes.
Just saying, just putting it out there. Anyway, right.
To be fair to Trish, when you're in accounts and you get a 0.5, you round up. That's the mathematical.
No, we do that in
Thank
sales.
you.
Slash. We do that in sales. We do that in sales. We always round up. Anyway, Slash. What's?
So you can see part of my guitar here. That means it's going to get a 4.5 out of 5.
What?
For me. I love the musicality of it. You know me. I'm all about the music.
Well, yeah, I know you. Normally, when you rave about a band and we think you're going to give a 4.5, you normally end up giving it a 3. I mean, that's your normal tradition. But yeah, 4.5 is fine.
Oh, this was above average for me. Yep.
Dave.
Yeah, it's a big fat 0.
Big
and
fat
that's
0.
And that's only because you won't let me give it a minus.
Well, no, because it's 0 to 5. It's not about minus. We can't do minus. I'm with Simon. I give it a 2 out of 5. So there we go. So, thanks to Slash. It's got 7, 9, 11 double figures. I mean, it's not going to get anywhere. But you know,
I can't believe something got a 0, man. I mean, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but you know, it's okay.
Yeah. Okay. So let's check out the next. So Ghost and the album Imperu, Imperu, which fairness has been getting some noise out there in the rock community as we speak. But what about the opinions that matter? And that's Musical People Journeys Rock Podcast. That's what really counts. So we're going to start with you, Dave. Let's talk about Imperu Ghost. Have you heard of them before? And what do you think of the album?
I had heard of them before, but I can't say I'd actually ever heard of their stuff. It was, the name definitely rings a bell though. It's a very solid album. Very 80s feel. Reminds me a lot of the sort of rock metal that you'd find on a sort of typical 80s horror movie soundtrack. Definitely sort of. That was the first thing that sort of come to mind when I heard it. Sort of, you get a lot of the old Alice Cooper, that sort of thing. Just enough variation in style to keep me interested. Call Me Sunshine and Hunter's Moon, particular highlights for me. 45 minutes, the album length seems just about the right length to stop it from outstaying its welcome. Would listen to it again, but would probably be more inclined to check out their back catalogue, because I'm sure that they can and have probably done better work.
Cool. Trish, did Ghost do anything for you? Did it remind you of the film Ghost? Were they there behind you doing a bit of pottery? Did it excite you? Did it get your pulse going?
Well, it got my pulse going, but not around a potter's wheel. But Imperium, a simple opening instrumental featuring plucky guitars, beat drumming and a fist-pumping riff that perfectly builds anticipation for what's to come. 11 tracks of joyous rock goodness. Now, while I was at UKBG, hopefully Ian has passed on his comments to Slasher. While we were there, Ghosts were actually playing in concert, and we were in two minds as to whether to go because, we absolutely loved the album and really wanted to see them, but we decided ethically, because we were with work, not to go. But for me, this is a total guilty pleasure album, worth my time listening to. 80s rock all the way.
So, so just to explain, everybody, Trish was at a show festival doing volunteer work, and Ghost were at the NEC, and and she texted me and I said, "Go," would be my opinion. But anyway, there we go. So Simon, what did Ghost do for you, my friend? Did they Ghost spook you up, or?
Well, they certainly reminded me of a Ghost of the Past from the 80s, but I think opening the album with the 2-minute instrumental is quite a risky move. I did enjoy the album. I really enjoyed, is it Kaiserrein? I think it's the first actual track on the album that really hit hard. That was a really good sort of jump in tempo. But I do feel like the album sort of dipped a bit after that. Nothing else particularly grabbed me apart from Darkness at the Heart of My Love. I think that's the full title. Which is a really nice ballad song, and I do like to have a good ballad mixed in with the album. It sort of helps the flow of it.
Yeah.
But again, they had 3 different instrumental tracks in that album, which always it feels like they were almost trying to fill the track space. Which is a bit of a shame. I did enjoy it. It's good. It's good music. It's good Ghost. But I think I agree that I'm intrigued to find out about their back catalogue to see more stuff that they've done. This doesn't feel like it's their best work.
Slash. Talk to me.
Well, Trish, you're right. Ian told me. It was at Insomnia at the NEC that I met Ian. But funnily enough, I was there promoting my new YouTube channel, and I bumped into Ian, and he invited me along to see Ghost, and we were gonna go, and all right, but then pressures of work, and got to be a little bit sensible, especially if you're working for someone else. You got to do the right thing. So we didn't get to see them, but I figure what you said there, Simon. I think what happens is that the rock will translate on the stage with that, which is why you get the instrumentals. I also think that a lot of bands, a lot of music artists over the last couple of years have been experimenting. We've been locked in our houses, we've been locked up, and they pick up a guitar and they're looking at it in a slightly different way. I mean, I've had this air guitar for getting on for 15, maybe even 30 minutes now, and I'm finding new ways to play it all the time. And Ghost for me, I agree with you. Kaiserrein, that was fantastic. And I think what makes it really good is that 2-minute intro. Like my boys, the Crew, when they did Terror in Tinseltown and led straight into that Dr. Feelgood on the Dr. Feelgood album. Wow, this had the same impact. I love the 80s vibe. I'm all about the 80s rock, same as you, Trish. Dave, I think you're right. I love that phrase. They didn't outstay their welcome. I think that was perfect. And for me, oh yeah, solid rock, baby. Solid rock!
He's always finding new ways of playing with his shaft. There's no two ways about that. So, even one that's not very firm. So listen. What did I think of Ghost? Actually, I agree with it. I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed this album, I've got to say. And you're risky. I mean, we were talking about a feeder yesterday, and and turns out that Nate didn't get through the first two tracks on the album, which was a real shame because they were the worst 2 tracks on the album. Because after that, the album was fantastic, absolutely brilliant album, and it is risky. And we've often talked about what poor choices people make for that first track or 2 to kind of get you into it. And the instrumental, I don't think it was quite 2 minutes, but it was just about right. It was just about, oh, hello, this could be good. It was just long enough to kind of get you into that, and then it kind of burst into that one as well. There was massive influences from the 80s. I really heard Journey, massive Journey influences into that tune. And there was one song where literally it was almost the same riff as Poison by Kiss. I literally just think it's going to switch into the Poison any minute. But there was enough in there of their own style and their own kind of more, even though there was a lot of 80s, there was also a lot of modern kind of riffs and stuff in there as well, which kind of, I like that blend. I really did. I think it blended really, really nicely. It sunk into my my classic rock heart and left me there, but give me enough of that kind of modern kind of more heavier style on occasions as well that really gripped me. And the song that you mentioned as well, I love a good ballad. I absolutely, if you put a good ballad into a rock song, I'm there, because I do like that variation, and I like variations in my stuff. But as long as that variations are done really, really well, and this album did it really, 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 really well. Absolutely a terrific, good listen. Really good. Thoroughly enjoyed Ghost. Anyway, so quite frankly, thank God for them on this stage. But there we go.
Nigel, can I just say, you mentioned about influences there. If you listen to Respite on the Spitalfields, at the point 2 minutes and 22, there's a guitar riff, and it sounds like it's going to launch into Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now by Starship.
Yeah.
It's real simple.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. It was just enough heavy influences in there. I tell you what, I liken to the fact that Ed Sheeran did this court case. Thinking, well, I hope these people don't listen to the Ghost album because there's a few things there. You go, oh, really? But just enough, I think, to make it their own. Absolutely terrific album. So now listen. Yesterday, controversially, if you haven't listened to it, which you should do listen, we reviewed Sabaton, and though Sabaton got 2 golden buzzers and a 4x, it didn't actually make our Hall of Fame, and it didn't even make our top 10. But so will Imperu make it? No, says Simon, shaking his head. Let's start then with you, Trish. Let's give you your ratings.
I'm getting my golden paddle out for a second
Woo-hoo!
time.
5 from Trish. Wow. Okay. Simon.
Not quite going that high, I'm afraid. I'm going to 3 out of 5 for me.
3 out of 5. Dave.
Yep, 3 out of 5 for me as well.
Slash.
Okay, so my vote goes, if it's just a t-shirt, it's 1. If it's a jacket, it's a 2. If it's a hat, it's a 3. If it's glasses, it's a 4. And there's a guitar, it's a rip roaring 5 out of 5, brother. 5 out of 5.
Oh, we gotta go and pass it down. 5. Oh, fantastic. Well, for me, it's not a golden buzzer. But it's not quite. It's just too much of that moment where, oh, hold on a minute, that's got to kick in, even though they did it quite well. But damn close. 4.5 for me. 4.5 for me. So there we go. 10, 13, 16. Oh my God, people. Oh my God, it is 20.5. Imperu has reached the Hall of Fame for the musical podcast. Congratulations, Ghost Imperu. Great album. Absolutely terrific. All right, so you just crawl out. It doesn't matter. It's our 6th Hall of Fame album, and it was good enough, I think, to kind of get in there as well. So, you can there, Mr. Green. Yeah. You had your moment. You give it a 3. You give it just enough. Yeah,
true.
And you know what? I mean, I have a playlist it's called the 5 playlist. It's called the 4+ playlist. So if an album gets in there, it goes on this playlist. I would listen to each of those tracks. I don't think there's a track on there that I wouldn't go, oh, I'll skip it. Because we had this conversation. One of the conversations we had yesterday was is albums are dying, which I totally agree with, because of the skip button. Because of the skip button, you can, you just pick out, well, that's for some people, but I think a lot of people, and particularly with you can't skip, a vinyl, can you?
No.
You scratch the record. And when you look at the resurgence of vinyl sales, that would actually say that the life of albums is certainly not dead. So, but anyway, so, wow, that's exciting. That's exciting. Because of the way that Slasher was going, I thought, he loved it that much, he was going to give it a 2.5. Right, okay, so, you'll never live that down. Right, okay.
You'll find that's Ian, not me.
Oh my God, we haven't even reached the headline act, people. We're halfway through. Now, let's talk about Marillion. The glory days of Kaylee. Did they reach that? It's an hour an hour before it's dark, have Marillion once again stormed the stages and come back in their glory days? Gotta start with you, Slash. Come on. I mean, we know. Ian, to me, couldn't wait to listen to Marillion. It was going to be the highlight. Did it achieve those expectations?
So, I know that in the 2 weeks that I've known Ian, and we go way, way, way back.
Sorry,
And,
hold on. You've known him for 2 weeks, but you go way back.
Absolutely, we go way back 2 weeks. Oh yeah, so much happened in that 2 weeks. I've learned almost everything about Ian in those 2 weeks. And he told me his favorite album was Misplaced Childhood by Marillion back in the 80s. He'd spent hours as an angst teen listening to Fish and the band sing away. And what a concept album that is. So we were both aligned on that. So we were looking forward to this. And you know what? This delivered. This delivered that Marillion, variations on a theme, if you like, where you get different parts to the same song. There's a couple of individual tunes that come in, not quite the big Kaylee and Lavender that they had in the 80s, but you still got those tunes there. In fact, one of them I absolutely love, and it's The Crow and the Nightingale. It's quite a long song, but wow, that has some amazing, just an amazingness to it. It was fantastic. What I got was more of the same from the 80s. So either they've stuck to their roots and they're still delivering, or have they got a bit tired now? And I can't make my mind up on that one. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it immensely. But for me, it was kind of like just hearing a reworking of what I and Ian listened to in the 80s.
Just note that your air guitar's getting a bit thing. You want to get your lips around that shaft and get some more into it. By the way.
Don't worry. I'm just gonna go get it. There's a little blue pill for it. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Now, talking of lips, rock chick, Trish. Did Marillion? I mean, this is 80s rock.
Oh God.
Come on, surely Marillion.
I mean, I love Marillion. I've seen them at the Royal Albert Hall. I wasn't too sure what to expect from this album. Was I wishing for a bit of the 80s Marillion sound to akin to Hooks in You? And one of their other songs, Uninvited Guest. This album is definitely an uninvited guest in my listening. It was dark, moody. It didn't give me anything. Musically, it was okay, but just a bit blur all round.
Dave?
Yeah, I've got to be honest, never heard of the band before. I'd say that the name does ring a bell, but again, I couldn't name a track.
What? Sorry, Kaylee. Never heard of Kaylee? I mean, one of the greatest iconic classic rock songs like ever written.
The track that does ring a bell.
Lavender.
That does no.
Lavender.
I mean, that just sounds like a generic rock title potentially. So,
Hallowed.
But again, arguably another sort of progressive rock style album. Much better example of it, but sadly still misses the mark for me. However, that's not due to the songwriting or any of the musical style really, but more the poor quality of vocals. I found the vocals to be a bit whiny. Didn't really feel they fit the overall feel of the album, which is a real shame. Some great moments on there though, and musically had me guessing as to where they were going to go next. I'd be very interested to actually check out some of their earlier stuff because I want to see if it's just generally his vocal performance or whether it's a case of age is beginning to catch up with him and he's losing a little bit of the power there. But other than that, I quite enjoyed it. I've got to be honest.
Simon. Yeah, I imagine you probably never heard of Marillion before.
Yeah, but I'm clearly not going to admit to it. After what you've just done, I'm not going to admit to that.
You've generally not heard of Marillion? You've generally not heard of Kaylee?
No, I mean if
I've said
if
you
played it,
once you hear it, you go, ah, right, okay.
yeah, exactly. I
Yeah,
imagine.
yeah,
I imagine.
yeah.
So yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But no, I was going to open with the same and say I've never heard of them before.
I mean,
I,
shock. I mean, but that's part of the journey, isn't it? Part
it
of
is
the
exactly. It's
journey.
a journey.
I haven't heard of so many covers of these indie rock bands that keep appearing, and everyone's going like Feeder, and oh, you not heard of Feeder, and like,
I think it goes to show that you, Ian, and I are of a certain age. Just saying.
Yeah.
Don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, Ian's not here, so it don't matter.
Weirdly, I'm the same age as Ian. To the day. Can you believe that? Unreal.
I can completely
Funny
believe
enough,
that.
no. Funny enough, no. But I can remarkably see how you two get on. Anyway, so right, okay, carry on, Simon. Sorry.
This is sort of a dip in the stage, I'm afraid. We had like sort of powerful performance from Ghost, and now we've got sort of almost like the intermission of Marillion. You know, everyone's gone off to go get drinks while they play. I feel like there was probably a lot of depth to the lyrics. There's probably a lot of depth to those songs. There's a lot of deep-seated meaning, but I just don't care to find it. I found myself phasing out throughout most of the album. I just didn't. Nothing picked up on me. Nothing particularly seemed overly interesting. Nothing gripped my attention. The only thing that did was that weirdly, the last song on the album has nearly 20 seconds of silence at the end. Don't know why, but it does, because it always makes me think my speakers have suddenly broken.
Maybe people just can't believe what they're listening to, and it's just like, what the, yeah.
So yeah, unfortunately, I was always taught if I don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything. So can't say anymore.
Well, in that case, I'm not going to bother talking. No. I have not given anybody a 0 in the whole albums that I have reviewed. I have not given any album a 0, and I am damn close to giving this pile of crock one of them, because it is just dire. It's dirge after dirge after dirge after dirge. The only redeeming part of this album is that there are moments of utter musical brilliance. There are moments of guitar riffs and musicality that are just superb. But it's so intermittent and so far behind, and I agree with you, his voice just drones and drones and drones. That album feels incredibly self-indulgent. I agree with you, Simon. I cannot, when you listen to even when you listen to the Flower Kings, you kind of go, you have a sense of at least what he's singing about. I don't have a clue. I just did not have a clue what this guy was absolutely droning on about. His utter lyricism was appalling. It was simply appalling. And I've heard many albums, and you haven't listened to kind of Neil Diamond, and and God's sake, or Neil Young, sorry. And God, at least you know what the hell he's singing about. At least you know that where he's kind of going for it. But this was just utter tripe, and it just was awful. It was awful. Apart from those little bit of and I certainly did not want to listen to this album again, and I don't think I actually probably made me maybe to the end. So I think I might have applauded 20 seconds of silence. To be perfectly frank, honestly, really not my cup of tea in the slightest. And the Flower Kings did it much better, and that's saying something. So from that score. So anyway, let's kind of go with our ratings then. Slash.
Well, I posed the question: was it bad or was it good? And for me, off goes one, goes two,
Ian!
goes three.
Hello, Ian! Ian's back, everybody.
It's a 1.5.
1.5.
1.5 for me. That's it.
Okay. Trish.
1 out of 5.
1 out of 5. Simon.
I mean, I didn't even know we could go this low, but I will give it a 0.
A 0 for Simon. Dave.
2 out of 5.
Oh, that's quite good for you, Dave. That's quite good for you. I give it a half. This is my lowest score ever. I've never gone below 1. I wouldn't give it a 0 because there was some really cool musical moments in there that cost kind of go whatever. But so 1.5, 2.5. Oh God, 2.5, 4.5, 5. That's our lowest rated album of all time, and that's sad. That's sad. This is the great Marillion. This is like one of the most iconic rock bands of the 80s, and guys, wake up, smell the coffee, give us something that's going to be better than this, because it's,
you know what, Nige, in my music journey, I've found that even when things are bad, there's some good, and I think that 20 seconds of silence at the end of the album. You know what? I'd like to think of it like this, Nigel. I'd like to think that it was two guys having an argument how long the track was. One of them was the producer, and he was wrong, but ended up being right.
Yeah,
that's how I think of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and listen, everybody, if you're watching the show, if you're going like, oh my God, you guys are just going to sue you. The whole point about this show is that we're not biased at all. It's our own personal feelings to an album about how that music has spoke to us. Whether the album's technically brilliant, whether it resonates with a certain genre of rock, is irrelevant to us. It's what speaks to us as individuals, and I think that's what that's important here. Okay, swiftly moving on, because we are now so drunk, because that's such a bad album that we just needed to drink our way to oblivion. Welcome back to the stage, the iconic Stereophonics, of which probably Dave and Simon have never heard of, and the album is called Oocyha. And so we are going to start with Dave on this one. Actually, no, I'm going to start with Simon, because you Stereophonics. You must have heard of Stereophonics, Simon.
Yeah, no, definitely. Stereophonics were fantastic. We're a fantastic band. Is it Right Place, Right There, I think is the song, sort of one of the more iconic ones. Used to love that track, and there's quite a few other ones that are fantastic. I'm not sure they've returned to form, though. The album, and I hate using this phrase, but the album was easy listening. It was easy to get through. Like, I enjoyed a lot of the tracks in a way. There's a couple of slow melodies in there. I feel like there wasn't a big hitter. There wasn't like a big punchy song that sort of really brought the whole album up and gave you more of a journey across it. It all just felt a bit samey almost. I mean, there were 15 tracks, which is quite good for an album this sort of length without instrumentals and stuff like that. But it's been over 15 years since their last album, and I think I would have liked more from them. I really do. I feel like they're definitely not form. Maybe they just needed to warm up again after such a long hiatus. But yeah, I'd have liked to have got more from them.
Dave, you've probably not heard of them before. Yeah, no, but, I definitely have heard of them. I'm not deaf. Yeah, I mean, I was a massive fan of their first two albums, but after that, I really didn't enjoy a lot of the stuff that they were producing. But I did really enjoy this, though. I have got to admit, though, Simon's got a point. There is no songs on there that do particularly stand out. That you would think, oh, that's going to be a hit single, or which is a bit unusual for them, I would say. For me, though, this is much more in the style of some of their earlier work. Some great rock tunes accompanied by some slower, more mellow tracks to keep things interesting. I've always been a fan of Kelly Jones's vocals, and they're impressive as ever. I love his sort of growly tone that he has in his vocals. It is, for me, a return to more like what I enjoyed about their earlier sort of music, and it's something I definitely will go back to.
Slash, talk to me about old Stereophonics, my rock god.
Oocyha!
I
love this album. Oh, this album was, I thought, classic Stereophonics, and I have an affinity with Stereophonics, certainly for Kelly Jones, in terms of his son is transitioning. And I think, he was public, talked about this on the last album. The update is great. And that, for me, speaks volumes for the guy. He also speaks volumes about the album title. The album title, Oocyha, is the noise that he makes when an album is completed. That's simple and straight. Well, according to the Sun, and I guess you guys, the Sun is like the pinnacle of the truth in the UK, right? Is that true? I don't know, but that's where that came from. So, but I thought there was some damn fine stereophonics there. There was some damn fine sounds we're used to. What was lacking was some new stereophonic sound for me. I really was hoping to, when like Oocyha, it's like, Oocyha, this is stereophonics. This is going to be new. This is going to be what we expect. This is going to be everything. It wasn't for me. It was okay. It was pretty fine, but I felt Kelly Jones and the boys could have done a heck of a lot better.
So Trish, when you finish something, do you go Oocyha?
Always.
Probably a cup of tea though, yeah? When you finish your cup of tea?
Yeah, drinking my cup of tea, I go Oocyha.
You go Oocyha.
Yeah.
Oocyha.
This is Stereophonics doing what they do best with their trusty hit formula celebrating 25 years. Starting off with a crackler of an opener for the album with Hanging on Your Hinges. Anthemic tradition rock. Another belter, Do You Feel My Love? Along with emotional ballads with Kelly's dulcet vocals, this feels like a best of album that you can listen to when you're in a phonics mood. You know what you're getting and it delivers.
Sorry. Well, you were halfway through. I just got Slash blowing up his shaft.
Oocyha!
And I thought he was snorting cocaine.
Do you know what? I thought he was doing that earlier as well. I was wondering what he was doing. Now I
just looked up and he pinching it. And I go, look, there's a rocker. Snorting.
Wow.
You were doing it earlier, Slash.
Man, just from LA, right? Just because I'm from LA. That's it, right?
Oh,
we all know coke.
And actually, in the corner, there is a little touch of a white patch on your sofa.
Oh. Wait, I don't know what I mean. Oh, no.
Oh god, that was too good, just too good. Anyway, right, everybody. What did I think? Do you know what? Did you listen to an album and afterwards you went, that was nice, and then you listen to it again and you go, yeah, that was nice. But you look down and you go, well, what tracks did I add to my cool song list? None. But it was nice. It was just. I mean, and let's not make no bones about what this album is. This is indie rock pap. It is totally indie rock. I mean, there's nothing like heavy or anything about it, but it's just nice. It's just a nice album, and I agree with what both Dave and Simon have said. There is nothing outstanding. There is nothing that leaps out for you to go, oh, I really want to hear that track again. But if it was on, I'd be happy to listen to it. I'll put it in the car. Happy to listen to me driving away. But I wouldn't think to myself, oh, I really must listen to that new Stereophonics album again. It was just great. But it was nice. So if somebody says, oh, you listened to the new Stereophonics album? It was nice. I don't know if you kind of get the theme here of what I'm trying to say, but it was just nice. I mean, it was just a nice, well-produced album without it being terrific. And maybe there's some getting back into it. But what I've seen from in terms of the pandemic and stuff is that people have had time to craft, something a little bit more special. So I mean, they're playing down at the Victorious Festival, which is near us, and I was going, really didn't want to go watch Stereophonics. Do I? And I'm still beyond the fence. I've actually booked the Saturday rather than the Friday that they've gone there. But I would be quite happy to go and watch them if they were on. If I was booking tickets for Friday night, I certainly would go down and see them. Anyway, so there we go. Let's kind of get our ratings. So Simon, you hit me with your rating, please.
Easy listening, but nothing amazing. 2 out of 5.
Only a 2. Oh, you're being harsh. Now that you know you can be harsh, you're getting into the harsh groove, aren't you? So, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, I might be being a little bit generous here, but I did listen to this after Flower King, so it probably elevated it somewhat.
That's a 5 then, yeah?
Yeah, I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5.
A 4? Ooh, yeah. Okay, that's for a bland average album for you, Dave. But then
I didn't say it was bland and average, but as I said, there's just no tracks that particularly stand out.
You're right. But I was going to say that you get that with Chris talking to him anyway, so you're probably used to that sort of stuff, really. Okay, as Slasher.
Mm-hmm. This is going to be a 3.
3.
out of 5.
And Trish.
4.5.
What? What's your name, Ian? 4.5. Okay.
What?
I thought you weren't going to give it that high by what your words and your score.
No, I don't think. No.
Okay, all right.
I said it.
All right. Maybe I was distracted
You
by.
were distracted by something else.
Yeah, I
mate,
was.
Not my
I think
review.
I don't know what. Somebody blown up my shaft. It was a 3 for me as well. It's a solid good album. So 7.5, 9.5, 13, 16. Not bad. It's not bad, people. Might get top 20. We'll find out. We'll let you know. So, okay. Headline act, everybody. The headline act. We are here. Are you excited? Is everybody excited?
Nigel, I'm real excited. But can I just bust a quick guitar riff for you? Just before we move on to the headliner.
No. I've heard your guitar riffs. And your shaft is not hard enough.
Oh,
to do
man.
that. So Bryan Adams, so happy it hurts. Slash, I'm going to start with you so you can do your guitar riff as part of your little tryout, mate. We'll start with you then, Slash. Were you so happy by playing with your shaft on your guitar, everybody? And were you so happy it hurt?
Leave that for another time. Okay.
Thanks, Slash.
I was going to give it a full eruption, but you cut me off. I cut you off. It's quite simple. So, Bryan Adams. Mm-hmm. The guy is a true rocker. A Canadian of the highest order. I've been to see him live. His shows are amazing live. If you've ever been, you can vouch. If you haven't, go. This album, from his heyday when he was riding high and those big rock tunes, this was mediocre at best for me. I just couldn't pick up the vibe that he was trying to go for. It was like he was trying to imitate his huge album, Waking Up the Neighbors, but getting it all wrong, getting it all kinds of wrong. I like the song So Happy It Hurts. However, with the album, I was so happy. Afterwards, it hurt. But for me, the standout track was Kick-Ass. You're going to include John, Mother, please? Then yeah. Oh, you get my respect. But that song, I picked that because it highlights just what he was going for, what he's achieved, because John Cleese does this huge rock intro. It's fantastic. And he says, you will say, and there will be. Bryan Adams goes, let there be rock. And that's about the impact of it. It should be, let there be rock.
Yeah, you're right. Now, Trish, I'm going to come to you because you insisted that we were going, because expectations we've heard from big rock artists like this, did we actually want to review Bryan Adams? And you went, you've got to put, he's my guilty pleasure, and I must be on the Eddie the Head stage, which he's headlining, to review them. So, did it live to your expectations? Were you really happy that it hurt? You see a bit of segue going in here, guys. I hope you like that.
Like Slasher, I've seen Bryan Adams a couple of times live, and yeah, he is brilliant. This album, So Happy It Hurts, I guess I was expecting a bit more from it, maybe something different, but he takes you back to his 80s sounding era, a great opener for the album, and the album sort of stays in that comfort blanket of his 80s heyday. And for me, there's nothing wrong with that. I love it. Kick-Ass, I Ain't Worth Shit Without You is Bryan back at his best, delivering the bangers along with the ballads and a sing-along album. But yeah, I liked it. I didn't love it, and I was expecting more, but he will always hold a place in my heart.
Dave, Dave, does
Have you
Bryan?
heard of Bryan Adams?
I mean, Dave, does Bryan have a special place in your heart? That hard heart, that hardened heart, which has been hardened over the years by Chris. Has it?
No.
Does no?
No, I still haven't forgiven him for the 16 weeks of torture back in 1991. I've got to be completely honest. But I have got to reluctantly admit that I did enjoy this. It was definitely a foot tapper. I was listening to it while I was driving, and yeah, it was quite hard not to tap my foot when I was stuck at traffic lights, to be honest. And brake light probably flashing on and off for anyone sat behind me. Musically, it's everything you'd expect, sort of fairly well written and produced songs. That being said, there were a few songs I felt did miss the mark, especially the ending track. These are the moments that make up my life. I was like, just kind of ruined the end of the album for me. Overall, though, something I could see myself coming back to. But yeah, unfortunately, I'm stuck with that feeling that anytime I hear of Bryan Adams, I'm going to think of those terrible 16 weeks.
So, do you have nightmares, Simon, of those 16 weeks? I don't think you were even born then, were you?
Well, no, I was, but thanks. No, and I've even heard of this one. No, for me, it was it's an interesting album. There's a mix of musical styles on there, and it almost surprised me because I was expecting it from the opening track right through to the end, it to sort of change up, things get mixed up a bit. I really would have enjoyed the song Kick-Ass, and I love the monologue by John Cleese at the start, but it feels horrendously self-indulgent, and it just kind of spoiled the song for me. But I've got to be honest, I'm looking longingly over at the other stage, at the other headlining act, because to be honest, this album is so boring it hurts.
It is interesting, isn't it? I wasn't. I don't mind a bit of Bryan Adams, but I do find it becomes a bit repetitive and a bit just his voice is just has one of those voices you either love or hate, and I don't particularly, or it just kind of grates on me after a while. It's okay in small doses, but it just kind of gets to me. So I really wasn't expecting much, or to enjoy this album very much. But in the same vein as Stereophonics, it was just nice. It was just nice. Without really being offensive, without going, oh, that was awful. It was very rock and roll. I tell you a story. So I play an online game. You might have heard called World of Warcraft, and I was playing, and we're on our Discord channel, and I was muted, and because during the play I didn't need to talk, so I had the Bryan Adams playing on my phone, so it was there playing in the background, and then suddenly somebody said something, and I had to speak, so I hit the speak button to talk, and I was chatting away, and then somebody put in the chat, well, I didn't hear what you were saying because you had some American trailer trash music playing in the background. And I went like, yes. That's how you would describe it. It's amazing. You know, if you went to a fun fair, you went to a park, and you had some music blaring over the tannoys, it would be American trailer park music. It was that sort of rock and roll kind of vibe to it. That kind of really bizarre by accident kind of summed up how I felt about this album. It was just nice, without being offensive, without me. I didn't want to switch it off, but I equally didn't really want to go and play it again either. But it was inoffensive. There were some great moments. I don't mind a bit of self-indulgence. If I had the money to put John Cleese on my album, I'd do it. I mean, I would 100% do it. Cost what, $1 million? Hey, I've got another 200-300 million in the bank. Of course, I'm going to give John a couple of million to pay. But I think I would enjoy my self-indulgence to have some of my heroes on my album if I could afford it. So why not? I didn't detract from the. But it was really funny what Slash said about build up and then there. So it was just okay. It was all right. It wasn't the worst headline act we've had, for sure. But anyway, well, or will it? We'll find out. So let's finish off. Let's finish off with Bryan Adams, and let's go. So Slash, Ian, what is your rating for Bryan Adams?
So 2.5.
2.5.
2.5.
Trish.
3.5.
Okay, and Dave.
I gave it a 3.
And Simon.
Yeah, I think 3 is fair. 3 out of 5.
To be fair. Well, I thought it was distinctly somewhere in the middle, so I ended up giving it a 2.5. So through that gives it 4, 6, 9, 12, 4.5. It's above average, that's for sure. So not bad for some of our headline acts. So there we go. So that brings us to the end of our festival. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. We'll be back, and I thought that maybe the peak would be in February with about, but no, with the amount of albums that keep coming out, we are back next month with another double stage album. Okay, and because it's May the 4th, we're going down with the Star Wars theme, everybody. There we go. So we're going to have 2 stages. We have 15 acts. We will have our first people who reached out to us and say, please listen to my new album, and we've actually got a submission there as well, and we have some great bands lined up for us, so please come back. So if you're listening to audio or you're watching this on our new YouTube channel, you can go to our Facebook page, MPG Rock, so seek us out, or we're on Spotify, Anchor. Come and talk to us, and we will have our new Musical People and Journeys rock show. Reach out if you think that we should review a band that's coming out. It's got to be a new release. No looking back. We've moved on. And we've got some good stuff coming up as well. So thank you, Dave, for joining me today.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Simon. Glad to see you're back fit and well.
Yeah, thank you much. Thank you very much.
Trish, thank you very much for joining us. Go and get yourself cleaned up after listening to a bit of Jizzy. And Ian, I'm sorry, / thank you for guest starring on the show today. It was a pleasant, bizarre surprise. But I hope Ian doesn't invite you back.
Nigel.
But yeah.
Ian's asked whether I could. He's going to shave his head for charity. Once, if you could just give that a little quick plug.
Yeah, of course we can. Everybody, check out Ian's. What's his giving page?
It's for Emma Cruises. So go to www.emmacruises.com/donate, and we're trying to raise $50,000 for Macmillan nurses. So we're at $22,000 already. I'm shaving my hair to help Emma. She's going to shave her hair. Her hair's long. She's donating the hair to for wigs, and I think that's quite a big thing for a woman to shave her hair off. So respect. I'm doing the same for her.
Respect. Always. Yeah. Good one, Ian. Simon, loved that. Loved a bit of heart there. For anything for nurses. Good luck. I don't think Ian's got a lot of hair to shave off. But anyway, there we go. Thank you very much for joining us. Hope you join us again. Hope you enjoy. Please give us feedback if you enjoyed the show. And goodbye. And thank you from and continue your journey, everybody. That's all I'm going to say to that. Bye for now.
Bye.